distinguished scholars, business leaders, colleagues and friends, greetings. It is a great pleasure to join you at the Sustainable Supply Chain Forum, marking both the 25th anniversary of the United Nations Global Compact and the 40th anniversary of the best-in-class, illustrious Fudan University School of Management. I wish to thank our hosts, Fudan University, the United Nations Global Compact, and the ICHAI Sustainable Development Research Center for convening this important dialogue on how we can translate principles into practice. Global value chains lie at the heart of today's economy. They generate more than 2/3 of global output and connect billions of people from factory floors to consumer shelves. This means that the decisions made within supply chains are decisive for our collective progress on climate action, decent work, as well as human rights. For many companies, up to 90% of emissions occur within their value chain. The majority of labor human rights risks also arise in supplier or subcontractor tiers. In other words, the sustainability of global business will be determined not only by what happens inside corporate headquarters, but by the standards applied across the every link in the supply chain. From years of engagement across sectors, 3 lessons stand out. 1, build capacity, not just compliance. Audits can reveal violations, but only investment in supplier capacity and knowledge can prevent that from recurring. 2, reward responsibility. Procurement systems that prioritize only the lowest cost create vulnerability. Long-term partnerships and fair pricing foster resilience and innovation. 3, transparency must be paired with remedy. Disclosure without credible grievance channels breeds cynicism. True accountability means ensuring that harm is acknowledged and resolved. These are not abstract ideas. They form the foundation for a future in which living wages, gender-sensitive procurement, and science-based emission targets and anti-corruption clauses carry as much weight in purchasing decisions as cost and quality. Ladies and gentlemen, the 25 Sustainability Chain Leaders Alliance, launched under the UN Global Compact, offers exactly this platform, a pre-competitive space for collaboration where companies can learn from one another, pilot innovative models, and bring sustainable development principles to life. Through this initiative, business leaders can help mainstream the 10 principles of the UN Global Compact rooted in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, ILO core labor standards, and the Rio Declaration, as well as the UN Convention against corruption across every tier of their operations. These principles translate into tangible supply chain actions. Firstly, embedding human rights, due diligence in supplier screening and contracting. Secondly, promoting decent work, non-discrimination, and fair wages through long-term relationships. Thirdly, setting time-bound, science-based emission targets to align with just energy transitions. Fourth, strengthening transparency and anti-corruption practices through training and contract clauses. Ladies and gentlemen, as the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres reminds us, and I quote, "We don't need to reinvent the wheel, we need to get the wheel moving." End of quote. The frameworks and tools already exist. What is needed now is implementation and at scale. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development is built on partnerships, yet goals will remain aspirational unless platforms like this One Transformation commitments into contract, data, and results into purchase orders, pay slips, and emission reductions. To suppliers, your participation and voice are essential. A chain is only as strong as its most vulnerable link. To corporate leaders, your credibility will be measured not just by press releases, but by the tangible outcomes: workers protected, carbon reduced, waste recycled, and communities uplifted. The United Nations recognizes that without the private sector, the SDGs cannot be achieved. We count on business leaders to accelerate the transition towards transparent, rights-based and climate-aligned practices, the very goals this alliance embodies. Let us seize this opportunity to turn today's dialogue into tomorrow's industry standards. Let us ensure that the global supply chains that power our economies also power progress for people, for planet, and for prosperity. Thank you very much. Sheshe.